God is using you he said to me, you do know that when you've experienced pain, that pain is not for you. Now that sounds kind of like an oxymoron, right? It was like, how can it get the pain? I was the one that hurt, I was the one who got my feelings hurt, or I was the one that stubbed my toe and my big toe is throbbing, and I'm the one that's experienced this and that and this and that. And this was I'm talking over 20 years ago. So I can't even remember what the situation was. Okay. But when he said that, and that has stayed on my mind all of these years, because our pain is designed to obviously make us stronger, make us more resilient. Now, different people handle that type of pain in different ways.
Hi, I'm Helen Blocker Adams, host of Reset to Reinvent podcast.
And I'm Vanessa, CEO of Talent Connect.
We have connected our talent as women entrepreneurs, and I am pleased to announce Talent Connect as a founding sponsor for our popular podcast.
For any of your staffing, payroll, or other business services needs, be sure to check out our website at talentconnectga.net. That's talentconnectga.net.
And don't forget to subscribe to our popular YouTube channel, Reset to Reinvent YouTube channel.
Today's episode of Reset to Reinvent podcast is brought to you by the Adams Group Agency, developing final expense leaders.
Welcome to Reset to Reinvent podcast, where we empower women and entrepreneurs to rebuild and thrive after life's toughest challenges. I'm Helen Blocker Adams, founder of Unusual Determination, breast cancer survivor, published author, and licensed insurance specialist with over 11 years of experience helping women protect their futures. I've lived on 3 continents, survived breast cancer, run for political office 3 times, and rebuilt my life more times than I can count. And now I help women like you do the same with both the inner transformation and the outer protection you need to build boldly. Let's dive in.
Hello, and welcome to episode 47 of Reset to Reinvent podcast. I am your host, Helen Blocker Adams. And how are you doing today? I have been exhaling and breathing and exhaling for the past week. Now, some of you may know exactly what I'm talking about, and then there's somebody out there that's watching or listening and saying, what is Helen talking about? What does she mean by that? The fact that I've been exhaling and breathing for the past week. All I can say, folks, family, is episode 46 was the most emotional, most impactful, most profound, and liberating episode that I've ever done. Episode 46 was like a therapy. I'm going to call it therapy for me. Okay. Because some of you are still saying, oh, what's she talking about? Okay. Now, if you didn't see episode 46 or listen, however way you listen and watch the podcast, you've got to go back. I mean, as a matter of fact, you might as well go ahead and stop right now, because today's episode is not going to make any sense to you. Go back and listen or watch episode 46 and do it in a hurry. Episode 46 was a game changer for me, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and where we're going moving forward. episode 46 gave me purpose. We've got a movement going on. I have been talking about starting a coaching business, Unusual Determination, which comes from the title of my breast cancer journey book. Okay. And unusual determination, those two words put together they're pretty powerful, because we are going to start something unusual. This is going to be an unusual movement. And I want to know who wants to join us. And there's going to be so many different ways that you can join us. And by listening to our podcast, of course, taking a visit to our website, unusualdetermination.com. We're going to have coaching programs. We're going to have opportunities for us to come together, not just on the podcast, but just some private me and you time on our HBA Academy. All of those are coming up. So what I'm going to need is for you to go to our website, unusualdetermination.com, and click on the book consultation, or to request more information. And actually, you can go on reset2reinvent.com also and do the same thing. And what I need is your contact information so that I can be able to communicate with you. Because, see, you might hear one episode and then miss another episode, and you miss some information that I shared. So y'all feel me? So I need your contact information. So many of you have downloaded my episodes, and me too, unless you just tell me. Okay. So what I need for you to do is go on one of our websites, unusualdetermination.com or reset2reinvent.com, and give us your information. Fill out the contact information so that we will have it, so that we can keep you informed, because we've got a lot of stuff going on. It's happening fast and furious. God is just opening up the floodgates. And I just want to know, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? But speaking of ready, let me pause for a second, because I've gotten way ahead of myself. Okay. Have you subscribed? Have you shared our episode? Have you liked our episodes? Have you given me a review? Have you made a comment? That would really make my heart feel so good if you can just, on YouTube or on any of the platforms that you are watching and listening, just let me know. And I want to thank those of you who have made a comment publicly. It's so funny. I get people who shoot me text messages or send me emails or inbox me on my Facebook page. Hey, Helen, man, I listened to such and such episode. It was great. Oh, it really inspired me. And I love it. I love it. I love it. But you're only telling me. I want you to tell the world. Tell the world. Okay. Okay. So last week's, and I want to thank our founding sponsor, Talent Connect. Go to talentconnectga.net. talentconnectga.net. Oh my goodness. If you want to hire somebody full-time or part-time, or if you need somebody to handle your payroll, if you need a business plan, are you a small business person and you're getting started and you want to meet with someone who can help you with the business plan, they can do that at Talent Connect. So go check them out. And they'll help you. Okay. All right. I want to thank Vanessa and her team for being a partner on our podcast. I really appreciate that. I want to tell you something exciting. So much has happened in the past week. It's just unbelievable. Now, some of the things that happened in the past week, I'm not going to share at this point. I'm just going to keep it under wraps. But all I can say is get ready, get ready, get ready. I know that's something that TD Jakes says a lot. And I've seen him in person a couple of times in the audience with thousands and thousands of people. And he says, get ready, get ready. Yes, that's all I can say for Unusual Determination Coaching, for Reset to Reinvent. We've got some real exciting episodes coming up in February and, of course, the month of March. The month of March is National Women's History Month. And, I always do it big in the month of March. I have for years, even before the podcast. So we've got some dynamic guests that's going to, I'm already getting them booked to bless us in the month of March. I mean, when you think about what Reset to Reinvent podcast is all about, it's about helping women, empowering women, rebuilding women, providing actionable strategies so that we can be able to help you, whether you're a person who's going through a divorce, whether you're in a rebuilding mode, whether you're in a stuck pattern, whether you're anxious about whether your job is going to be there, whether you're thinking about starting a business. Our podcast is about being able to help you with that. Okay. But also our Unusual Determination Coaching. That's where the rubber is going to meet the road. Because see, on our podcast, we're going to be talking in generalities. And you could be able to pull some nuggets from our episodes for sure. But if you really want to zero in on your particular concerns, your particular issues to get you where you want to go, then that's where our coaching program comes in. Okay. All right. So in order for you to know what's going on with our coaching program, just go to our website, unusualdetermination.com, and click on book a consultation and let's talk. Okay. Now, I do want to let you know now, last week's episode, yes, I announced the launch of our signature program. And I've got 5 cohorts, 5 women that we're going to have as part of this 3-month coaching program. Okay, only 5. Now, right now, I've got 4 slots available. That can change at any given moment. Okay, so you want to get more information? I'll share a little bit more information about what that program is all about a little bit later in today's episode. But the Protected Reset, it's only designed for 5 people because I'm going to pour into you all of my experiences, all of my life experiences, all of my actionable strategies, things that I've done to get me where I am today. For those of you who have been listening and watching our episodes, you've heard me talk about the 8 reinventions. The coming from $28,000 to zero and being able to rebound, and I'm still here and still have a roof over my head, still have an automobile. But the strategies and the pain getting through that, is real time, and I'm going to be able to share those things with you. So if you're in a pain moment and you need help, you need some direction, you need a guide, a mentor, a safe place to be able to get you where you need to go, then that's what Unusual Determination Coaching is all about. And I want to be able to help you. I want to be able to help you. I can guarantee you, okay, even if it means, let's just say in this 3 months, you're not exactly where you need to be and our plan isn't completely put in place, then I will extend it so that you can have what you have, because I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm just not going to do that. Okay. That's just not the way I roll. Okay. And so I know many of you don't know me. You don't know who I am from Adam or Jane or Jill, but I can tell you this is the real deal. What you see is what you get. Okay. What you see is what you get, but I want to help you. That's what I've been doing all of my life. One of the things I talked about last week was the fact that, my goodness, when I think about all of the mentoring and coaching that I have done for years and years and years informally, it's amazing. As a matter of fact, check this out. So there's a woman on my Matter of fact, she's going to be my guest, one of my guests in the month of March. So I'm not even going to reveal her name, but I'm just going to share with you something that she has. She and I are Facebook friends, and I think maybe in the past few months she may have reached out to request. And her name seemed familiar, but I didn't really just zero in on who she was. And so she put a post on Facebook the other night, and her story was like, whoa, oh my goodness. So I inboxed her. I said, my goodness, your story is so compelling. I don't know if you know about my podcast, but I definitely would love for you. I told her I definitely would love for you to be a guest on my podcast in the month of March, in celebration of Women's National History Month. And then she said, oh, yeah, absolutely. Just let me know when. So then I asked her, I said, well, have we met before? You just seem so familiar, the name. Now, the scenario of what I read, that didn't ring a bell at the time. But then her response was, oh, yeah, Helen, you know me very well. And then she went on to chronicleize how I know her and what had happened and the role I played in dealing with the situation that she was in. And then she says, I've always looked up to me. You've always been a mentor to me. And I look up to you and I respect you, because one of the things that I shared was how proud I was, because she had gone through something, okay, a whole lot. And so for the month of March, she's going to be joining us. And then you'll know exactly who I'm talking about when I have that particular episode. But I said that to say, you just never know the impact you're making on people's lives, whether it's intentional through a formal coaching program, which I've never had until now, or informal. You just never know. And so I remember years ago saying and I have it written down. I've got to make sure that it's still written down, that people know that when I leave here, I want on my headstone, she was committed to making a difference. Okay, so headstone monument. Okay, shame on me for using the term headstone, but for you OGs out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But on the monument, yeah, she was committed to making a difference, because that is me. That is me all wrapped up in a bow. Okay, but unusual determination coaching. It's not a typical coaching program. Okay, it really isn't, because it's a combination of intertwining the financial protection. And what I mean by that, that's from insurance to establishing some other income streams, because most of us need more than one income. Can we agree with that? Okay, yes, absolutely. And I talked about how, that one company just shut me off in terms of my income, and that I would never put myself in a situation where just one company, one job, one situation is going to be my income. And then when they cut it off at their own will for no cause, I'm not stuck. Okay. And I want to help prevent you from that situation. So the financial protection, if you think about some of the challenges and the emotions and the hard times and challenges that many of us have, if you think about it, a lot of time it's money, or the lack of that's somewhere peeking its head, rearing its head. Can we agree with that? So with that said, the financial piece, because I have an insurance license, life and health insurance license, it gives me a little bit more authority, if you will, to be able to sit down and talk with you and help you strategize in those ways, as well as deal with the mental. So unusual determination coaching is not just any type of coaching program. And in order for us to get really deep dive in that, I would love for you to be one of my 5 cohorts. Okay. And the way for you to do that, go ahead and go to unusualdetermination.com and click on book a consultation. I'll get with you and I'll explain the whole program. I'll explain the whole program because we plan on launching it this week. Okay, we're going to launch it this week. And so we need our 5, and I guarantee you, I'm going to take care of you. Okay, I'm going to take care of you. Now, my producer asked me to just share a little bit from when I think about what I talked about last week and how emotional it was. One of the questions she asked, what was harder than expected? With last week's episode, as I talked about the loss of my sister Pamela, the loss of my oldest niece Danielle, the loss of my youngest niece Jasmine, and then the superstar, amazing Mayana, who was the sole person at 15 years old that found her Mimi, my sister, deceased. Okay, when she came home from school that day. And this was January 23rd, 2019. Okay, it was a day we'll never forget, the absolute worst day of my life, our lives, bar none. Nothing has come even close. I remember when I lost my dad in on New Year's Day in 2016. That was the absolute worst day of my life. Oh my gosh. I mean, and my dad was my rock, my just my cheerleader. He was like, wow. Okay, we very close. And but then when I lost my sister, my only sister, that was just a whole different thing, a whole different level. And so one of the things in last week's episode, now of course, if you did not see last week's episode, first of all, shame on you. Okay. That's right. Yeah. Shame on you if you did not listen or watch last week's episode. Go and take a listen. And you might need to listen to it more than once because there was some good stuff in there. As a matter of fact, I've listened to it a couple of times because I was, when my producer asked, what was harder than expected, just talking about it. As I talk through my script, and a lot of times I really don't have a script. I've got some bullet points of what I want to talk about. But last week, I needed to make sure that everything that I needed to say was said. And so I did have it script out quite in detail. And as I went over it several times, I knew I would have to go over it several times because it was emotional. It was an emotional. And then what I didn't realize, and some of you may have experienced, when we lose a loved one. And the thing about it is everybody, unless they were just born. But if you're listening to me or watching me, you've lost a loved one, whether it's your mom or your dad or your grandparents or your sister or your brother or your auntie or your uncle or your cousin, somebody close to you, your friend, somebody close to you, you've lost a loved one. And so you know what that pain is like. And everybody goes through pain and grief in different ways. And some people journal. Now I've never, and this is interesting. I've never journaled that whole experience from the loss of my sister all the way to the loss of my youngest niece. Now I have put it in a podcast, which was what last week's episode was all about. But I never really thought about journaling because here's what part of last week's what I didn't expect was how emotional it was and how little I have talked about it. At that particular time, maybe there was, chatter and discussions and talk and crying and grieving during that time. And I remember having to, to call, my niece and my nephew, and my brothers and all the family members about Pam passing away. I had to be the one to make that call. I put the funeral program together. I made the arrangements for getting the casket and all of that. So it was like having to do all of that. A lot of times, there's not a lot of time for grieving, and then you're dealing with the business of it. But in the meantime, your heart is still just aching. And my heart still just aches like it was yesterday. Okay. And so, yeah, that was something that I didn't expect, is how emotional and how hard. I mean, now, because I had to go over it several times before I actually recorded my episode, I did get choked up a couple of times. And, but that's okay. Grieving, and everybody grieves in different ways. And one of the things with this protected reset signature program with unusual determination coaching, I have, through God's intervention, who's touched people, individuals, to touch me, for me to open my eyes and see that this pain is now being turned into purpose. And I remember a pastor telling me a long time ago, I'm talking over 20 years ago, because, once again, there's so many different things that I've done over the years. I've spoken in churches, women's conferences, women's events, MC church programs. I mean, there's so many times where I have been up in front and pouring into people, pouring into the lives of people, because I'm committed to make a difference. And I remember I was sharing, I can't even remember what the pain was or what the situation was that I intertwined that particular message. And I remember a pastor coming up to me saying, you know what? That was a powerful message. God is using you to, he said to me, you do know that when you've experienced pain, that pain is not for you. Now that sounds kind of like an oxymoron, right? It was like, how can it get the pain? I was the one that hurt, I was the one who got my feelings hurt, or I was the one that stubbed my toe, and my big toe is throbbing, and I'm the one that's experienced this and that and this and that. And this was I'm talking over 20 years ago. So I can't even remember what the situation was. Okay. But when he said that, and that has stayed on my mind all of these years, because our pain is designed to obviously make us stronger, make us more resilient. Now, different people handle that type of pain in different ways, but at the end of the day, when you die, and this is something that I've thought about for off and on over the years. I mean, have you ever just sat down and just thought about just different things that come through your mind, and you write it down, and then you look back 10, 15 years later and you're like, wow, you're a lot of what you are and who you are is pretty much the same. I was talking the other day about an interview that I did, and I'm talking, I mean, probably over 15 years ago. And when I listened to it, I mean, it sounds like it's 2026, because my vision, my passion for people and helping people has not dimmed. As a matter of fact, when that pastor said to me, your pain is yes, you're experiencing the pain, but that pain is for someone else. Because one of the things that people like is authenticity. I don't want someone supposedly helping me, mentoring me, coaching me, and they haven't gone through stuff. They don't even know. How can you have, how can you have any empathy? Now, somebody, might just fight with me on this, but think about it. Now, granted, I haven't experienced every type of catastrophe, but I tell you what, I've been through some stuff. 8 reinventions. Go back and listen to some of my episodes where I talk about those things. Now, my mother is still alive. So naturally, I cannot have a coaching session that's specifically geared toward, toward women who's lost their moms. My mom is still here. Now, losing your father, that's a whole different thing. Okay. So what I'm saying is I want someone who's been through some stuff to help me. Authenticity in this day and age is so important. Can we agree with that? Absolutely. And so the idea of having diagnosed with breast cancer, gone through all of that in 2021, losing my sister in 2019, fast forward to 2023, losing my oldest niece to cancer. Less than 2 months later, in 2023, losing my youngest niece to a brain aneurysm. Family, that's something that I had never really just put into a timeline like the way I did in last week's episode 46. And so it's so compelling that it makes me just say, yeah, you know what? We're going to help women. We're going to help women all over the world. It may not be you, okay? If it's not you and you're good and that's fine, it's wonderful. I want you to keep listening and growing and whatever your needs are, we hope that you can meet them. They can be met through this podcast. And that is my prayer because we're going to help women however way it takes. It may be through buying one of my books. It might be by buying one of my other mini courses or attending some of my webinars that we're getting lined up for February, March, April, and May. It may be the Protected Reset program, but we want to help you. We want to help women. Let us help you. When I ran for public office back in 2006, when I was running for the state house seat, my campaign motto was, let me help you. Let me help you. Wow. And that just came to my head. Okay. All right. So, something else that my producer asked me. She says, how courage looked different than imagined. And so let me tell you something. I didn't really look at last week's episode 46, as being courageous, but the feedback that I've gotten, people who have listened or watched the episodes on LinkedIn, who have DM me on Facebook, who have sent me text messages, the word courageous keeps coming up. And I'm like, wow, was it courage? I guess it was. I didn't really look at it in that way, but I guess it was. I guess it was courage. So that was, the fact that I didn't really see it as courage, but the fact that other people have seen it as such. What a blessing. And I just hope that them seeing my courage, it might give them courage. Because remember, go back to what the pastor said. He says, your pain is meant for someone else. If you can talk about your pain, you're helping someone else. Think about some of your favorite podcasters, your favorite speakers, motivational speakers, your favorite pastors. Think about every one of them. And this is something that I've been paying more and more attention to. And that's what's been so liberating over the past week is that, I'm letting people know that I haven't properly grieved for the losses of these 3 close women in my life. my only sister, my oldest niece, my youngest niece, and then Maya, who is the thriver out of all of this, and she's my oldest great niece. And I realize, it is, I guess, courageous or liberating to say, okay, it's coming out of my mouth. It came out of my mouth. I've said it. I've got the timeline. And yes, it is sad. Yes, it is hurtful, but it's going to help someone else. And that means more to me than anything else. And that's why this is a movement. And so unusual determination is a legacy for these 4 women in my life. This long after I'm gone, I don't know how it's going to unfold, but I already know God has a plan for all this. I already know that. There's just no doubt in my mind that this is a faith walk in every sense of the word. But I can tell you that unusual determination coaching is going to be a legacy, is going to be a force to be reckoned with, and it's going to help hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women all around the planet. So if you are just a little curious about what we're offering and how it's all going to unfold, if you want to be one of these 5 cohorts, go to unusualdetermination.com and click where it says coaching, and then fill out that brief form. I'll get the email directly, and I'll get back with you. Okay. And let's talk this thing out. All I need is 4 more women, step out on faith. I guarantee you, I'm going to be able to help you. Okay. So I got a couple of more things that I want to say. We're going to be wrapping up today's episode a little bit earlier than some of my other episodes. Okay. So I've talked about the fact that, how courage looked different than imagined, and the fact that, I hadn't even really thought about courage. But the fact that so many women have said, Helen, boy, that did take a lot of courage, and thank you for your courage, then so it is. So it was courageous. And I thank you. It's all God. It's all God. Now, what was harder than expected? Talking about it, and not being able to get too choked up. But then I went over it 3 or 4 or 5 times too. And there was one time where I just boo-hooed. I mean, I just got it out, had all my makeup on, and then had to reapply my makeup because mascara was all over the place. It was one of those moments, but I needed to do that because I certainly couldn't do that, on the podcast. Y'all don't want to see me, crying, not like the way I was that morning. Okay, but it is okay to cry. All right. Okay. It was the hardest episode that I've ever done. There's just no doubt about that, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for what is ahead of us. I'm grateful for you for listening to Reset to Reinvent podcast. I'm really excited about the fact that, one thing I mentioned earlier, and I kind of went off on a tangent, and I hope that I haven't been all over the place. I probably have been all over the place, but I hope that, as we come full circle, today's episode will kind of, give you a sense of closure from last week's episode, because next week we've got something else that we'll be talking about. But obviously, we're going to keep unusual determination coaching in your head, in your face. And we're going to let you know of other programs that we're going to be rolling out. But I really need you to get me your contact information. Go on Reset to Reinvent.com and click on the click for information. Just fill out the information for just name, email address, phone number, so that way I can be able to communicate with you, because you might just miss it if you're listening to my episodes, or if you're having to wait a whole week before there's more information, because there's a whole lot going on with us right now, and we don't see any slowing down in sight. Okay, now You know that I may have mentioned that the Podcast Summit 2026 is coming up in July. And David Shands, Podcast King, has he put out there on his Instagram page, hey, look, I'm looking for some host cities to host a podcast summit tour. And hey, reach out to me and I'll send you the form and we'll see if you'll be selected, et cetera, et cetera. As soon as I saw that, I jumped on it. I'm like, I need to get Shands to Augusta, Georgia. And guess what? April 23rd, mark your calendar. If you're within a 2 or 3 hour radius, it's going to be a free event. We're going to have more information about it. And that's another thing. If I have your email address, then you can be able to get firsthand information. You can get firsthand information about different things that's going on under the umbrella of Unusual Determination Coaching and Reset to Reinvent podcast. Okay. Yeah, we want to give you firsthand information, but if I don't have your information, I can't do that. Okay. Yes. But I'm really, really excited. It's going to be April 23rd. It's going to be in the evening. It's a free event, and he is going to be here with bells on, showing you how to start and have a successful podcast. And it's just going to be an awesome, awesome event. I'm so excited about that. So make a point of being there for that. So we're going to be talking about that as we keep going on in our future episodes. The month of March is Women's National History Month, and we've got some exciting guests planned for that month and highlighting and recognizing some women that's been through some stuff. Whoa. I mean, I've been through my 8 reinventions, but there's certain things in life that I have not experienced. Okay. And I'm just going to leave it at that. And in the month of March, you're going to hear what I'm talking about. But guys, you all are amazing. I just said, hey, look, this is not going to be as long as other episodes. And looks like it is after all. But it's all good. But I want you to subscribe. I want you to download and I want you to share this episode and make sure you subscribe so that way you never, ever, ever miss an episode. Between 8:30, you should get a ping from whatever your podcast platform is so that you can be able to make sure that you don't miss an episode. It's just an exciting time. God is good. Trust God. Trust God's process. Trust his timing. I guarantee you, I'm telling you, I am a living witness that if you hang in there and if you're obedient, you have to be obedient. You just have to be obedient. I can't remember what episode it was, but man, we talked about that. We talked about obedience. I think it was maybe episode 40 or 41. Go back and listen to some of our episodes where we really deep dive into some things as it relates to your relationship with God and where you're going. We're so early in the year of 2026 that you should definitely be in a better place than you were last year on the first week of February. Can we agree with that? And if you're not, we got to make that better. Okay, listen, you all have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for being a part of our family. You all are amazing. And all I can say is that, yes, you deserve to be inspired. Peace.
Today's episode of Reset to Reinvent podcast is brought to you by the Adams Group Agency, developing final